The briefing room aboard the Sentinel's Pride fell silent the moment Captain Lyra's pen clattered to the floor. It wasn't a particularly impressive pen, standard issue, black polymer, the kind that every officer in the Terran Defense Corps carried in their breast pocket. But the moment it rolled across the polished deck plating, coming to rest near the front row of seats, the atmosphere shifted entirely. Lyra hadn't even noticed. She was midway through explaining the tactical positioning for their upcoming patrol route through the Kepler sector, her attention fixed on the holographic display hovering above the conference table. The assembled officers, mostly Vryn with their leonine features and thick manes, sat rigid in their seats, eyes tracking the pen's trajectory like predators watching wounded prey. Then Tavi moved. The young Vryn officer, barely past his majority trials, lurched forward in his seat. His amber eyes locked onto the pen with an intensity that would have been appropriate for a live grenade. His hand shot out, claws already extending. "I'll retrieve it." "Captain," he rumbled, his voice carrying that distinctive purring undertone his species used to show eagerness. "Sit down, cub." The voice came from Lieutenant Koresh 3 seats over. The older Vryn's mane was already silvering at the edges, and his scarred muzzle twisted into what might have been a smile. "You think the captain wants your scent on her belongings?" Tavi's ears flattened against his skull. "My scent is perfectly acceptable. Unlike yours, which smells of engine grease and desperation." "Engine grease is honest work," Koresh shot back, rising slightly from his seat. "Not like sucking up to every human officer who—" "Gentlemen?" Commander Thoris's gravelly voice cut through the brewing argument. The massive Vryn's bulk shifted in the reinforced chair built specially for his frame. "Neither of you are worthy. I will return the captain's implement. With respect." "Commander," a new voice chimed in, "Ensign Yara," her spotted coat marking her as from the southern clans. "You can barely fit between the seats. I'm smaller, more efficient." "Efficiency isn't everything." "Are you implying I lack grace?" "I'm implying you lack basic spatial awareness." Captain Lyra pinched the bridge of her nose. This was the 3rd time this week. The 3rd time. Last Tuesday she'd dropped her datapad, and 2 ensigns nearly came to blows over who would retrieve it. On Thursday her coffee mug had slipped from her hand during a tactical drill, and 3 officers had collided trying to catch it before it hit the deck. "Everyone, please," she said, her voice carrying that particular tone of exhaustion that every commander in every military throughout history had perfected. "It's just a pen." The room went silent. Several Vryn turned to stare at her with expressions of genuine confusion. "Just a pen?" Tavi repeated as if she'd just suggested that faster-than-light travel was overrated. "Captain," Thoris said carefully, his clawed hand pressing against his chest in what the Vryn considered a gesture of deep concern. "You dropped something. From your person. While working. For us, yes, I drop things sometimes. Humans do that. But you were providing for us," Yara insisted, her tail lashing in agitation. "You were giving us guidance, direction, protection. The least we can do is—" "It's instinct, Captain," Lieutenant Koresh interrupted, having the decency to look somewhat embarrassed. His ears twitched. "When the pack leader drops something while caring for the group, the cubs compete to serve. It's hardwired into us." Lyra stared at them. All of them. These were trained military officers. Veterans of the Vryn Krell Wars. Pilots who could navigate asteroid fields blindfolded. Tactical specialists who could calculate firing solutions in their heads faster than most computers. And they were arguing over who got to pick up her pen. "So let me get this straight," she said slowly. "Every time I drop something, you all see it as some kind of, loyalty test? Honor trial?" "Not a test, Captain." Tavi's voice was earnest, almost pleading. "An opportunity to show you that we're worthy of your leadership. That we can be trusted with small things, so perhaps you'll trust us with larger ones. You already fly combat missions for me." "Exactly." Thoris's massive paw slapped the table, making everyone jump. "We know you trust us with your life, Captain. But this—" he gestured at the pen still lying innocently on the floor. "This is different. This is personal. This is yours." Lyra opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. In her 10 years of military service, she'd faced down pirate raiders, negotiated with hostile alien species, and once held a boarding action with nothing but a pistol and pure spite. But this was unprecedented. "Permission to speak freely, Captain?" asked a quiet voice from the back. Junior Lieutenant Vec, the newest addition to her crew, barely old enough for his mane to have fully grown in. Granted, Lyra sighed. Among our people, humans are special. Vec's ears were pinned back, a sign of vulnerability. You're smaller than us, physically weaker in many ways. Your claws don't extend, your teeth aren't made for tearing. Your senses are duller. By all accounts, you shouldn't be able to lead us. This is supposed to make me feel better? But you do, Vec continued, his voice gaining strength. You lead us into battle and bring us home. You make decisions that save lives. You've never lost a crew member under your command, not one in 3 years. Do you know how impossible that is? Lyra didn't answer. The statistics were classified, but she knew. The mortality rate for mixed-species crews was 17% higher than single-species ones. The chaos of command, the cultural misunderstandings, the fundamental differences in how various species approached combat and danger, it all added up. Her crew had 0 casualties. 0. So when you drop your pen, Tavi said softly, and you keep working, keep teaching, keep caring for us without even noticing. We notice, we want to show you that we see you, that we value what you do. Even if it means bickering like actual cubs over a writing implement, Karish added with a rumbling laugh that broke the tension. Lyra looked around the room at her crew, at the officers who followed her into the black, who trusted her judgment, who'd become more than subordinates over the years, at the Vryn who saw humans not as weak prey animals but as something almost mystical, small protectors who defied nature through sheer determination and intelligence. She bent down and picked up the pen herself. The collective groan of disappointment that echoed through the briefing room made her smile despite herself. New rule, she announced, tucking the pen securely into her pocket. Nobody fights over my dropped objects. If something falls, the person closest retrieves it. No arguing. No competition. No demonstrations of worthiness. But Captain, that's an order. The Vryn exchanged glances, clearly unhappy but unable to disobey a direct command. Tavi looked particularly crestfallen, his tail dragging on the deck. However, Lyra continued, and their ears perked up immediately. If you want to demonstrate your value to this crew, you can do it by acing tomorrow's tactical simulations. The officer with the best scores gets to pick our next shore leave destination. The room erupted in excited growls and competitive snarls. Already Thoris was arguing with Karish about firing solution calculations, while Yara was challenging Tavi to a piloting contest. Lyra smiled and returned to her briefing, making a mental note to install pen clips on all her writing implements, and maybe some anti-drop coating on her coffee mug. Behind her, the cubs argued about trajectories and combat maneuvers, their loyalty finding a more productive outlet. But in the quiet moments when she wasn't looking, she'd notice them watching her, protective, attentive, ready to catch whatever she dropped, metaphorically or literally, because that's what packs did for their leaders. Even if those leaders were tiny, clawless humans who couldn't roar worth a damn, especially then.